American businessman Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy, him and his son have just miraculously gone $1.5 billion from the Gulf states, much like Jared Kushner got $2 billion, advised Russia on how to pinch the Ukraine plan to his boss, Donald Trump. So we'll start with that, and then we'll get into some of this other juicy stuff.
Absolutely.
It's all coming down, man. But the sad part is what people don't realize is as it comes down, they're going to bring everything else down. That's the sad part. Folks, you joined me in mid-conversation where Lev is just suffering in Florida, as you can clearly see. It's cold as hell here in Virginia, but we're getting by. It's cold as hell because the world's worst people are like a stone's throw away from me, as they're making millions and billions of dollars off of AI and crypto. Oh, they're just taking a sledgehammer to our democracy, to our allies, people who are, suffering from occupation, such as the Ukrainians and Palestinians. And you would think, maybe we would side with Ukraine. Maybe we would side with the EU. Maybe we would side with NATO. No, this Trump administration, it's coming out more and more, is all in, wait for it, with Putin. And folks, whenever Lev comes on, he says, Witkoffs. And people are like, Witkoffs? What's that? I don't want to talk about the Witkoffs. And you should talk about the Witkoffs. And I think we're going to be hearing a lot more about the Witkoffs. And Lev texted me, says, man, I got things to say about what's happening with Ukraine and Russia and all these guys. So let's just start off with the Witkoffs, and specifically Trump's presidential envoy, Steve Witkoff. And why am I using that name so much right now, Lev? And why should people care?
Well, because he's actually the person right now that is dealing with everything that's happening. He is actually Putin's. I don't even know what the right word would be, Waj, what the right description would be.
Advisor, auxiliary, friend.
I mean, because he's like, Putin's and Trump's simultaneous consigliere. I don't know. He's an interesting character. From when I first came to Substack about 6 months ago, when Aaron brought me here, my first story that I wrote about was the Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, and Kirill Dmitriev connection, because I started talking about Ukraine, about this, there was things breaking, and that was the first time I ever mentioned it, and people were like, "No, Jared Kushner is nowhere to be found," and Stephen Witkoff, I mean, he's in the Middle East, and the reason I mentioned them is because there's a relationship that I was talking about with Kirill Dmitriev that went back to 2017, and it also ties in Saudi Arabia because this is where they met. At that time, Kirill Dmitriev headed up the sovereign wealth fund for Russia, but it was also a cover because his relationship with Putin is a lot more stronger because his wife is literally partners in a foundation with Putin's daughter. So Kirill Dmitriev is extremely close, and his background is unique because he was born in Kiev, Ukraine, came here, studied in the United States, and then went back because of his relationship with Putin. And so he's very well attuned in what's going on. Him and Kushner built a very close relationship. At the time, Witkoff, you didn't hear his name too much. He has transformed from somebody that was very close to Donald Trump over the years. He has been his lawyer, real estate lawyer. He then became his own billionaire, financier, real estate guy. And some of the things that I mentioned and I wrote about Witkoff was that he was also very well connected and involved in a lot of the Russian oligarchy and Russian criminality in the 1990s that funneled their money through Trump properties. Well, Witkoff was another real estate guy that was dealing in with all of these guys and stories. And without going too deep into it, make a long story short, and these three people have known each other since 2017. Even during Trump, when he was out of office, they were talking about when he would come back into office. They also were in talks with Viktor Orban. Jared Kushner, Witkoff were involved in bringing Orban to the Mar-a-Lago several times. So it was that connection that when Trump came into office, That's the people that are actually dealing with our foreign policy. And that's very similar to what I did with Rudy back then. We had Pompeo and Bolton that back then in his first administration that were the real Secretary of State and Defense. And then you had me and Rudy running around doing his dirty work. Same thing here right now. That's why you see Marco Rubio coming in. Marco Rubio was not involved in any of these peace talks. Marco Rubio had
Yeah,
no
where is
idea what.
Rubio? It's a really good. Yeah, aren't you the Secretary of State, bro?
But he's not part of the inner circle. He wasn't part. He doesn't go back 30, 40 years. Marco Rubio is a tool that Donald Trump. Marco Rubio has his own ambitions. Steve Witkoff doesn't want to be president. Steve Witkoff doesn't want to take over. Do you understand what I'm saying? Marco Rubio is, no matter how he sold his soul to Maria. He still, he ran against Trump. He still has other ambitions and he's, political and so on. So Trump doesn't trust people like that. That's why he really puts him into a position of because they're out of central casting. He looks good the part. He could talk good. He could give a good speech. You know what I'm saying to you? He's good, but he doesn't handle the real stuff. That's why right now what you're seeing is all basically fake because what Rubio's trying to save some sort of face, some sort of dignity by jumping in there, having these talks in Geneva with Yermak, which I'm hearing are basically not even going anywhere. The bottom line is the game plan. You hear first, folks, is Trump is going to drag Zelensky here into the White House, where he's going to give him an ultimatum that if he doesn't leave, that basically he's going to cut off all uh, help, but also that there will be probably an investigation opened up into the Ukrainians for what happened to all the money that the Americans have given over the years and stuff like that. So this is what is being played out. This is the type of manipulation and the type of stuff that's being said behind the scenes to the Ukrainians. That's why you see Zelensky. He's literally pale white. Like he keeps saying this is keeps warning the people because it's one thing what they're saying out in public, and I always tell you, watch, forget about what they say, watch what they do, and watch what's actually happening behind the scenes. Because as they're having supposed peace talks today, what did we see? They again bombarded Ukraine. Again, we had innocent kids and children killed for no reason. If there was really a real peace conversation or something that was meant, you wouldn't see the actions that were taking place. Not by Trump, not by Putin, not by none of them.
But Lev, what about the Trump 28-point peace plan for Ukraine?
We actually broke it when you had Joy, if you remember.
Yeah.
It was on your show.
Couple of days ago.
Couple of days ago, we called up and I said, listen, this is not, I got a call because, and I literally have PTSD because it reminded me of just like the way we did things back in the day with Rudy. He got, so what happened was, what's his name? Kirill Dmitriev was here. He came here on the pretenses of meeting Anna Paula Luna, the congresswoman, because she wanted to
From
open
Florida,
up
for those who don't know, Republican, total fraud.
Correct. And that was all a setup because to have him come to Florida, where at the time, who happened to be here, Kushner and Witkoff. So he meets with them and he gives them this plan. But the plan was supposed to be massaged a little bit where it should have came out, and looked like it was a U.S. involved with the plan. But Witkoff basically just did either Google Translate, AI, I don't know what he did, but he literally took it and translated it and gave it to, from what I'm hearing from my sources, he literally handed Rubio, and maybe you could check also, see if Rubio handed it, the first time Rubio got it was he handed it during the MBS meeting in the Oval. Is what Witkoff gave him literally recently. It was when Rubio got the 28-point plan translated, and that's why Rubio was in shock and said, "I don't know at first what it is," and that's why you said you had the Congress people come out and say, "Wait, this is Russian translation," because the words are not even coming up, and they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and that's why you had Rubio right away go to Geneva to meet up with Andrei Yermak to try to now present some sort of unified plan, which is, I mean, I'm laughing because it's just like the bad news. It's disgusting. People are dying. We shouldn't be laughing, but it's disgusting that we're even talking about it, and they're allowed to played, because if this was a movie, you wouldn't believe that it could actually take place, but it's happening in reality. And now they're, playing this whole thing out, that they have this new unified Ukrainian plan that,
And if people think Lev is just, oh no, guys, you're all doing conspiracy theory. Just an hour ago, Bloomberg report that Witkoff, yes, Trump's envoy, advised Russia on how to pitch Ukraine plan to Trump. They apparently have audio. Let me repeat this. American businessman Steve Witkoff, Trump's envoy, him and his son have just miraculously gone $1.5 billion from the Gulf states, much like Jared Kushner got $2 billion, advised Russia on how to pinch the Ukraine plan to his boss Donald Trump. And furthermore, Trump just about an hour ago said that, want to take a guess, Lev? Who's going to meet Putin in Moscow to discuss the peace plan? Can you tell the people? Want to take a guess who Trump is going to send?
Steve Witkoff.
Steve Witkoff. See, it was just announced 40 minutes ago that Trump said that Steve Witkoff would be the one who would meet Putin in Moscow to discuss this 28-point peace plan that was translated from, like, I don't know, Gemini, Google Translate from Russian to American. It's so nakedly, shamelessly corrupt, Lev.
But also, watch what's not getting enough attention is that Jared Kushner is all of a sudden popped up out of the blue. Now, all of a sudden, Jared Kushner was involved in the Geneva talks, and now Jared Kushner, and it's not being talked that much about. He's been always involved, but he's the mastermind, and the reason he's coming in because it's coming to an end where they're trying to take credit and start dissecting the pie. It's time to make money. It's time to. That's why Kushner is now coming in. It's time to make the energy deal, because Witkoff was the one that was leading the face of the operation. Now you're going to come see the real brains, just like what they did in the Middle East. Just like you saw all of a sudden right towards the end when they were about to cut everything. You saw all of a sudden Jared Kushner come out with Witkoff and take credit for it. Same identical plan is over here, because it's the same team, because that's who Trump trusts explicitly. We did. Look, just think about it. Witkoff took a Russian plan and made a copy of it, right? And handed it to the State Department. Let me take you back how history repeats itself. 2019, we're sitting, this is April, I don't remember the exact day. We're sitting in the Washington, D.C. at the Trump Hotel, me, Rudy Giuliani, and we have in front of us in the lobby all of this Russian propaganda about the Bidens. And Rudy gets a call from Pompeo saying that, where's the package that you've been telling me about from the State Department? And Rudy turns around to me and says, we need to prepare a package from Pompeo. So we have an hour. For the next 45 minutes, me, Rudy Giuliani, and a host of Trump waitresses, barmen, concierge, were running around, making copies, helping us formulate what we would later then deliver to the State Department, and would later would be the pretense of getting the ambassador out, and and I'm laughing because it's just so crazy to think that we did the way it was done then, and now you're seeing the same thing, and that's why I keep saying that Steve Witkoff is really the new version of Lev Parnas 2.0, basically, in the way he's doing things. That's why
Did you make Lev? Did you make $1.5 billion for yourself and Aaron?
That's the one thing I did. I thought I was going to get a medal of freedom. That's what I mean, a medal of honor. I thought I was in the mega cult, but I could share something with you guys. I don't have it here with me, but we could do it on our next show, Waj. I'll show you a contract that some Republican donors, and it ties into what's going on in Venezuela, that signed with Maduro, PDVSA, for 2 billion barrels of oil, if we could give him a soft landing. And Rudy Giuliani and Trump's whole inner circle were part of that deal. I could show
Oh
you
yeah,
that
let's
contract.
talk about that. Well, let I want we're going to talk about that after the break. I'll tee you up and you bring in the contract. We're going to talk about. I want to get to Venezuela in 1 second, but talk to us about the end game here. This 28 point for those who are joining us late, about 1,000 people. You know, we're just talking about because I know there's a lot of domestic stuff happening and we should pay attention to it, but we should also remember Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia's occupying Ukraine. Ukrainians are fighting and dying. Palestine and Palestinians, they're being occupied, they're dying, right? And instead of like being on the side of the occupied, instead of being on the side of our allies, instead of helping out the EU, instead of helping out NATO, for the last decade, Donald Trump has pretty much consistently echoed Putin's talking points. Well, now we found out that his envoy, Steve Witkoff, who somehow just magically has made $1.5 billion with him and his son from Gulf Investments, Jared Kushner got $2 billion. He's the one that Donald Trump just said is going to meet Putin to discuss this peace plan. Well, this peace plan seems to have been written by Putin. And furthermore, Bloomberg about an hour ago alleges and apparently have audio tape where Stephen Witkoff, who is an American serving in the Trump White House, is not advising Donald Trump, but instead is advising Putin on how to play Donald Trump on Ukraine. So he's playing both sides.
We did the same thing. Watch, me and Rudy sat there with. Let me give you even. You want to bring it all back home? This Zelensky's chief of staff, Andrei Yermak, who is sitting right now in Geneva, that was dealing with Marco Rubio, flew in. It was 2019. I forgot the month of what this was. So it was the summer of 2018, right when the perfect phone call where we were getting together. Flew to Spain to meet with me and Rudy, where me and Rudy basically told him what to do and how to say it and what to do. I mean, basically the same thing. I mean, it's I can't even, and they did it. Like, I'm saying to you, they were gonna fire. They fired the chief of staff, who was at the time Zelensky's. They reinstated the mayor of Kiev, who was the boxer Klitschko, which Zelensky wanted to get rid of at that time because he actually came to Rudy's office the day before Rudy came to Spain. So I know, like this is what I'm saying. It's the same thing that is transpiring one after the other. And the reason, and what I'm saying to you is when we spoke to Andrei Yermak, Rudy was coaching him how to deal with Donald Trump. He
Wow.
was telling him this is what Zelensky needs to say. When they get on the phone, that's why if you take a look at the perfect, I want everybody to go back when they have a chance and listen to that phone call again, because Zelensky was coached on that phone call by Andrei Yermak and me and Rudy of how to speak to Trump, to appease him, to cater to him, to be able to give. That's why you see that phone call. Zelensky was very nice, where he was not combative at all, and Trump was asking for favors and stuff like that. Same thing here. That's part of because Witkoff is telling now Putin how to speak to Trump to be able to, and that's why Trump even says, just think about, Trump says it himself. He says, it's so weird. Whenever I'm on the phone with Putin, it's like we get along, everything is great. And then he gets off the phone and goes, kills 10,000 Ukrainians. I don't know what's wrong with this guy because Putin knows how to speak to Trump. It's like, it's
I mean,
sickening.
Witkoff is literally playing both sides. He's an American. I would say this is treasonous, traitorous behavior, with Witkoff allegedly advising Russia on how to pitch the Ukraine plan to try. You know what it is? If you just step back and think about it, Lev, it's money laundering foreign policy.
Yeah.
Russia came up with the peace plan, give the peace plan to Witkoff. Witkoff then gives it to Rubio. Rubio then gives it to Trump. Trump then says it's a fantastic peace plan. Witkoff then says, you know what? I know these guys. You should send me there. Trump goes, okay, fantastic. I'm going to send you to talk to Putin. Then Witkoff's going to go talk to Putin after he's already advised Putin. It all comes back full circle. It's remarkable. We have money laundered foreign policy and throwing our allies under the bus. And this is what's going to happen. What's going to happen to Ukraine, Lev?
Well, I'll say this to you, Wash. The quicker, it's going to sound crazy what I'm going to say, but the quicker Donald Trump walks away from Ukraine already and just leaves them alone and stops bothering and messing with NATO, messing with the EU, and keeps telling, dangling that carrot in front of the Ukraine that he's miraculously going to stop this war and pretend to do that. I think Ukraine then will have a very good chance of getting their sovereignty back because if you think about it, for the past 10 months since Trump has come into office, he has taken away all their help. He has, if even with the help that the Biden administration promised, he has constantly went back and forth, 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, dangled the carrot. Because of that, Ukraine can't fully attack and fight the war we're constantly defending. And even with all of that said, Ukraine has amassed to one of the most powerful, if not the biggest army in Eastern Europe. That's why one of the points is that they want them to cut back their army because Ukraine has now built the strong army. Ukraine has also now become one of the leaders, if not the top drone makers, which is a new battlefield. Ukraine has strategically, which the media doesn't talk about, wiped out over 40% of Russian oil reserves and locally inside. The Russian economy is in shit. That's why in every deal and every conversation is to bring Russia back into the G8, bring Russia back into world trade, is because they're hanging in by a thread. So I truly believe, and this is the other thing that what I hear from my sources, and one of the things is Putin is specifically keeping Trump in the game because because that's part of the tool. Because as soon as Trump is out of the game, as soon as the U.S. says, you know what, actually go fight off, do your thing, then Putin doesn't have that leverage of hanging over. Then Ukraine, Europe will go out full force, and Russia's not gonna. It's not gonna be the same game because right now Putin is fighting full force with two hands, and Ukraine has one hand tied behind their back because you got Trump constantly telling them, oh, you can't use long range, don't hit him hard, don't attack. One day he says, oh, you could wipe him out, but the next day, oh, well, don't do that. It's like what I'm saying to you. And Ukraine, if you think about it, that's why the crazy part about it is when the media right now, if you turn on any channel, they're like, oh, Ukraine is accepting there's a peace deal that Ukraine is accepting. Ukraine has been accepting every peace deal that has been offered. They just want peace. The problem is Russia's not going to accept any of this peace deal. There's nothing that in there that benefits Russia. So it's at the end of the day is I hope that really, and I speak to a lot of my Ukrainian counterparts, and they're so fed up with Trump playing back and forth. They want the U.S. just to step aside, deal with their own issues, and let them fight this fight because they believe that because think about this also. Watch with all of that's going on, Russia is not advancing. They're not there. If you take a look at the actual fight where the war is going on, they're at a stalemate. Russia
Yeah.
has for years can't advance, but they're using terroristic acts by going after civilians, hitting civilian targets, attacking hospitals to get the attention. Ukraine's not doing that. Ukraine's not hitting Russia and all over the place. So it's a totally different war because of the United States. So it's going to be interesting to see how Trump plays this one. But what I'm hearing that we're coming to an end here. That's why you see Kushner coming out of the woodworks because he comes out when it's time to start divvying up the pot. Trump feels that for some reason that he's going to get Ukraine over the barrel. One of the things I'm hearing, what they're going to push onto Ukraine, why Trump wants him here, is because of this corruption thing that they have. That also Kirill Dmitriev brought here with him to Miami to give to them pictures and stuff. And it's so crazy. They do it in the open. If you go to Kirill Dmitriev's X account, he posts those pictures before even we post. It's like amazing. It's like you can't even make this shit up. Watch. So he brought them about, and again, I'm not saying that there's not corruption that goes on in Ukraine. I'm not saying that somebody didn't steal some money. I'm not saying that some people didn't steal some money, but 30 million people are not corrupt. 30 million people are not, the president's not corrupt. It's all made to make a mountain out of a molehill. It's all made to because their whole idea is to do what's it called, a regime change, just like in Venezuela right now, just like the same thing in Ukraine, is to put in their right wing, also, you know, pro Russia, what's it called, president, and then everybody gets a win because all of a sudden Trump thinks he gets the war to stop, because on the outskirts, if you look like in the newspapers, if you watch on TV, the world will think it's a win because the fighting
Yep.
stops, the killing stops, and most people would say, well, thank God to that. But then
Well,
if you
Lev,
look at,
real quick, I didn't mean to
yeah,
interrupt your flow, but
yeah,
right
yeah.
now, at least for now, the world, because we live in the United States of amnesia, thinks that there's actually a ceasefire in Israel and Palestine where there isn't.
I was just about to say that. That's
And
exactly
Steve
what
Witkoff is the one saying, see, my ceasefire.
I watch. You took the words out of my mouth. That was my exact example. I was going to say, look at the war that he stopped in Palestine. The people are dying every day. There's continuously and the media doesn't even talk about it. So yes, from a 30,000 angle, if you right now you ask anybody around the world, you'll say, "Oh, stop! Trump has peace in the Middle East," like he screams. But then if you zoom on to what really is going down, people are dying. Kids are dying. There's still, you know, not there's no peace. There's no cease. There's continuously. So that is the same ploy, and that is what they're trying to do right now. And bringing Zelensky here is another way of pushing that onto him. And I just hope he stands strong. I mean, I tell you honestly, Watch, there were several times when I put pressure on him in the first administration, I thought he was going to cave. I thought, and he almost caved a couple of times. He already made interviews with CNN that he was going to make an announcement, and to the Bidens, he even said it himself a couple of times. And he stood strong, which what saved everybody, because if he would have came out, you know, who knows where we would be right now in the world we would live in. I think he's going to stand strong. I think Trump's not going to be able to, you know, extort him to a position. I think Zelensky comes out. I think they continue fighting, and you know, I think the world is going to say, because I also truly believe, Waj, that what we're seeing play out here in the United States, we have such good momentum, and that, you know, such good things I'm hearing, and a lot of things we'll talk about, is that alone, I don't think we're going to have Donald Trump in the same position, same power that we've seen. I think there, you know, we're going to see major changes, and quicker than even people are anticipating, from what I'm hearing. But that's not an excuse to stop doing anything we're doing. That's not an excuse to stop. It's actually, if anything, we need to put the pedal to the metal even more, because of all the different good things that are happening between that. Literally, you know, I'll tell you, I wrote in my Substack, the breaking point, and then Donald Trump, because I know him very well, Wash, and I could see, and if you take a look back, was November 4th, 2025. That day when he saw the, you know, after that day, no, the elections. The
Yo,
elections
yeah,
when they came, the elections when they came out, when he saw that broke him, and ever since that day, the Epstein files shifted, the wave shifted. Marjorie Taylor, I mean, everything. He's been rattled. He's been on the defense ever since then. He's been on the defense. He had only maybe one day of office when they opened the government, and even that, you know, he was so angry he couldn't take advantage. So there's a lot of positivity that, you know, I see that is about to be taking place.
there's a lot to talk about, but Lev asked me, he called me up, and so I'm like, I'm gonna make time. I have a fantastic guest coming up in about 8 minutes, and I hope everyone who's watching watches this guest, because, like you said, everything is blowing up, everything is being revealed. It's the Epstein files, the Broligarchy. Right now, folks, in the New York Times, the main headline is the following: Market volatility underscores epic buildup of global risk. Now people are realizing, oh shit, AI, crypto, this might blow up, and this might be even worse. It will be worse than the 2008 economic crisis. The Broligarchy's plan is being revealed. Trump's plan is being revealed. Overreach, immigration overreach, economic crisis. He's negative double digits on the economy. He's negative double digits on immigration. He's negative double digits on Epstein. So he's like, okay, distraction, distraction, distraction. And in the final 5 minutes, I do want to ask you about this, because it's not just distraction. You mentioned already. It's part and parcel of Project 2025 that people didn't pay
Absolutely.
attention to. Venezuela. It's distraction and part of the plan. Talk to us about Venezuela and how openly now Scott Bessent and others are saying, yeah, Venezuela, oil, resources. We could go get that.
Well,
And
it's
thank you to
this.
someone who said they just got my book. It's this one right here. I hope you like it. It's a quick read. I've deliberately kept it a quick read. Let me know what you think. But continue, Lev.
You send it to me. I didn't even know you. I'll read it, especially if it's a quick
It's a
read.
memoir. You'll learn a lot about me and my family, and
Yeah,
you'll
I'd
be
love
shocked.
to. Oh
Yeah,
no, I'd love to, absolutely, and I'll send you mine. We'll do that offline. But anyway, what was the question? Sorry,
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Oh well, Venezuela. So my background with Venezuela, Trump's background with Venezuela started because there was some very powerful part of the GOP donorship. Why I even entered it is because their main donors were all oil guys, oil and gas guys like Ham and others, and there was some powerful donors in Florida. Harry Sargent, who was my partner at the time, who was very close to Maduro. I mean, when I say close, Maduro called him his grandson. That you
Wow.
know, and you know, so and even back then, we part of the deal was to explain to Trump that Venezuela was a big oil reserve. Trump back then was still not the same. It was Trump 1.0, where he was still listening to like people like Pompeo and Bolton and others, and so he was being pulled in a lot of different, and didn't have his blinders on like he has right now. And that's why even in Bolton's book and my book, you could see where when we had the call with Maduro, and Maduro said, I'll give if Trump gives me my soft landing, lets me immigrate live in Texas with my people, get all my money out, I'll give a free and fair election and it'll give him Guaido. When Rudy went into the Oval and Bolton heard Rudy talking about, he stormed out and basically told Rudy to go screw himself, not so many ways, and that's when the whole Guaido movement happened. But the reason why I'm telling you is because back then the movement started to explain to Trump about this oil, gas, minerals, because Trump's a real estate guy. He had no idea about all of this world, different money, crypto, oil, gas, minerals, and so we started teaching him. He started learning by some of these donors. What I'm hearing right now in the plan Venezuela is a lot deeper than just a distraction. It's a lot deeper than also a tool that he could use to be able to stop elections by announcing a war. Venezuela is also part of Putin, and I'm going to tell you, it's crazy. Xi, Putin, him, and what's it called? The MBS. It's a call
It's
that
literally the
working
world's worst people.
literally the world to control all the oil markets and gas. Because if you think about who's the biggest oil producer, Saudi Arabia, Russia, America, and Venezuela. You know what I'm saying to you? So the plan is basically that, and I know the people that are talking, I can't break this yet, Waj, but what I'm going to break this is going to be huge. That basically Trump was told that America needs to control all those oil, and Chevron and others, and there's some other companies that Trump. This is going to be a play where, to change regime, take over, and basically have America control all the oil fields and the distribution and all kinds of stuff.
Ellie just said, Ellie Leonard joined us. Nick Paro, go join their Substacks. Franklin Leonard of the Blacklist was here later. But, she said all of them have footprints or fingerprints in the Epstein file. Absolutely. The Epstein files are a
Yeah.
fantastic Rosetta Stone, not just of powerful men and their perversions and their rape of girls, but also the money trail, which we have to talk more and more about. And Ron Wyden has talked about it. And even, Julie Brown, who did the fantastic work in Miami Herald, she says the money trail. The money trail will show not just, again, this cabal of pedophiles, but also the institutions who are behind it, the foreign countries who are behind it, and the two countries that keep popping up again and again and again. Epstein kept doing business with them, Israel and Russia, right? And then Virginia Giuffre said there was a prime minister of a country that she accused of raping her, violently raping her, right? So not only do you see these powerful men engaging in perverse, illegal appetites of raping girls, you also see money trails, you see billionaires, you see financial institutions, you see banks, right? It's usually the same players keep coming up. It's all part of a big club, and we ain't in it. And this club now is the world's worst people, just gobbling up all of our resources, just taking everything, right? And part and parcel of this club now includes the oligarchy, Silicon Valley, tech, and specifically surveillance. They all trade information. MBS says, "Oh, how do you suppress the Palestinians? Oh, okay. Oh, let me tell you how I suppress. Oh, how do you suppress the Uyghurs? Oh, Modi, how do you suppress the Muslims?" Trump says, "I like the strongmen. That's right. Okay, look how he just loves them. He loves all these people who crush their enemies. He openly says it. So not only trading information when it comes to crushing and repressing Bolsonaro right now, folks, he tried it. He saw a cue from Donald Trump. Oh, talk about the deep state. Talk about insurrection.
That's another thing we're going to be talking about. That. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that's
Go ahead.
another story. I'm hearing starting Berbers that Trump is going to a major play to get him out of jail.
There you go.
He's working on it right now. We're going to hear it very shortly, but there's going to be a major play. And for all of your subscribers, I have a little treat. Let me I want to show you something. We talk about Venezuela. I want to show you something. 1 second.
In about 2 minutes, folks, I'm gonna jump real quick. I'm gonna jump right back on. I have Michael Steinberger. He wrote a fantastic book, and it's one of those things I should pay attention to. It's called Alex Karp, Palantir and the Rise of the Surveillance State. Palantir, yes, funded by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel, part of the Broligarchy. Peter Thiel, who funded J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance, the person who's right there waiting right after Trump goes. The Broligarchy, the Silicon Valley folks, the authoritarians, the right wing, Palantir has gotten billions of dollars to create a surveillance state. Alex Karp is all in helping Netanyahu and Israel crush Palestinians. So the surveillance state, it's part and parcel of this authoritarian Broligarchy movement. And the person who wrote the book on it, I think more and more people need to know about it. He's going to be up in 2 minutes. Lev.
1 second, I will show you. Oh, okay, so here it is. So first of all, this is I'm just going to do a little self promotion quickly, but this is not about self promotion. This is about if you guys really want to understand what's going on in Venezuela, Ukraine. This is literally like a blueprint. Because when I wrote this in prison, I wrote this because I didn't think I was ever going to be able to testify, and a lot of the things we talk about is literally repeat. So this is. This is the gentleman that is Maduro's nephew, that he calls him, the billionaire. We're standing before he's about to go to Venezuela to meet with Maduro while we're about to have conversation. And this is actually nobody's seen this until I put this in the book. It is the actual. I want you to look at this, Waj. It's from PDVSA for 2 billion barrels of oil that was actually signed. That it was already done deal. If Bolton didn't have them invade, that was supposed to be split by Rudy, Trump, me, the whole. There was a whole group of people, of 2 billion barrels from Maduro. When oil was at $71 a barrel. So it's
They've been on
real,
it,
folks.
It's real, and Trump is their tool. Trump didn't know anything about this. Trump and his stupid kids have made $5 billion off of crypto, which is why he pardoned CZ of Binance, who helped him make that money, which is why he passed the first pro-crypto genius legislation. Project 2025 has a paragraph on Venezuela where they openly just teased straight up regime change. Besant now is talking about oil reserves. Steve Witkoff is a man much like Kushner who's just happens to make billions of dollars with investments from MBS and Gulf states. And now Steve Witkoff is just, the person who's advising Putin has been chosen by Trump to go talk to him about this peace plan that seems to be written in Russia. It's all a big Ponzi scheme. It's all a corrupt. It's a big club, and none of us are in it. And I appreciate Lev doing his part as a former insider, unveiling it all. Lev, as I jump off and I jump back on with Mike Steinberger, shamelessly promote yourself.
Well, folks, as we always say, we're building our community. So please subscribe if you can, become paid subscribers. We're here fighting and getting you the information. And I see a lot of you asked where you could get the book. LevRemembers.com is my website where you could follow me and also get the book and a lot of cool stuff. And Waj, call me later offline because I think there might be some other things will be going live later today or tomorrow breaking. I think.
Well, I'm going to be here, so let me know. I'll text you. You text me. I'm going to be off, folks, with Mike Steinberger, who wrote the book that people should be reading right now on Palantir and the rise of the surveillance state. And basically, what we talked about, it's all connected. It ain't just U.S. It ain't just the Broligarchy. They're using this technology with fascists all around the world. And Alex Karp, much like Elon Musk, now he's just openly telling you the supervillain plot. Like he literally, folks, like he did an interview where like, wow, you're a sociopath. So the person who wrote about that is up in 1 minute. This is the Left Hook. I'm with Lev Parnas. Lev remembers we're terrible capitalists. If you have some money, give it to Lev. If you have a few dollars left over, it's Left Hook, folks. It's all independent. I keep it all free. I'm literally dependent on the kindness of strangers. So I got a whole bunch of kids. Lev actually has more kids than me. It's a tough. It's a tough economy, so I want to keep people informed, which is why there's no paywalls. But if you have a few bucks, even the $5, I kept it super cheap. It really, like, honestly, this is, corporate media no longer likes me. CNN doesn't invite me anymore. I was at Silicon Valley, my hometown, and all these uncles, that's what we call our elders, Love. They're like, man, I used to see you on CNN. Like, what happened? I'm like, shockingly, they have not brought me on for 2 years. So that's how it is. It's okay. We're building our own community. Folks who joined us late to 1700, it'll be up on my Substack and Left Substack. But jump on in like 1 minute. Really, if you have 30 minutes, just listen to Michael because he did the research about Palantir, which is Thiel's company, and the surveillance state, folks. People should be talking about this. They have all of our information, billions of dollars with the Trump administration, one-stop surveillance shop, and then they're outsourcing it to the world's worst people. I'll be back in a minute. Thanks, love.
Take care, my brother.